afternoon. You're watching Business World Live. I'm Jes Delos Santos. Let's take a look at how the local bourse closed today, Tuesday. All right, local shares showing no signs of letting up just yet. It continues its climb for the third straight day. The local bourse advanced 0.7%, inching closer to 7,000. It's now at 6,919.54. Ever since the government announced Friday last week that vaccines are set to arrive, the index has already made a 2.42% sprint over the past 3 days. Vaccine rollout commenced yesterday. 656 were inoculated, 20 reported experiencing adverse effects. 300,000 doses have been allocated in NCR, Cebu, and Davao, with shots already being delivered today, at least, to Visayas and Mindanao. Various cities in Metro Manila also pushing through with the symbolic inoculation today that's amid an increasing number in infections, especially in Pasay, where 3 cases of the South African variant have been detected. Now, another Chinese pharmaceutical also applied for emergency use authorization, that's Sinopharm. The FDA confirming that the state-owned firm's online application. You have Director General Eric Domingo saying that in the past that its application may take more than 21 days, even 4 to 6 weeks, since its vaccines have yet to receive EUA from a stringent regulatory authority. What we know so far about Sinopharm is that it is a president's vaccine of choice. It was also the same jabs used on his presidential security group and special envoy to China, Mon Tulfo. Now, 10,000 Sinopharm doses have been given compassionate use by the FDA to be used on PSG personnel. But one other development here that we have to be taking note of, you have the DTI also releasing a memorandum allowing libraries, museums, and cultural centers, and even cinemas to actually operate. Now, for cinemas, that's going to be at 25% for those areas under GCQ. However, for those under MGCQ, that's going to be at 50% capacity. That sent a number of mall-related stocks to the leaderboard of today's trade here, particularly SM Prime, which, as you can see, as represented in this white line right here, is now at 37 pesos and 20 centavos a piece. That saw shares climb by as much as 3.2%. SM Investments, likewise, represented by the second chart here in the orange line, is now at 1,046. That saw a 2% rise, as well as Mega World, as you can see with the yellow line here, is now at 3 pesos and 80 centavos a piece. Mega World's shares advanced by as much as 1.3%. But one property player is sitting out the rally. That's Robinson's Land. You have net income by the property player for the full year of 2020 coming in lower at 5.26 billion pesos. That's just from 8.69 billion pesos a year ago. Revenue, likewise, is also down by as much as 17% for the full year. It's at 25.4 billion pesos, coming from a 30.6 billion peso base in 2019. But the property player seeing some signs of recovery. Quarter-on-quarter net income climbed by 20% to 863 million pesos. Part of what they are banking on for this year is a REIT offering. They're looking into injecting its mature office assets into a REIT company with the year subject to SEC and PSE requirements. The company currently has 25 office buildings with a total net leasable area of more than 600,000 square meters. RLC ended the day in the red. It's down by 0.7%, now at 19 pesos and 68 centavos a share. Now, one other stock that bucked gains in the index today, Dito Telecommunity. The stock just rolled out nationwide, but commercial activities will still happen on March 8 as scheduled. That's in key areas in the Visayas and Mindanao before making their services available nationwide. They've in fact already identified a number of areas here included in the rollout that's going to begin again March 8. You have in Metro Cebu the likes of Caracar, Cebu City, Consolacion, Danao, Liloan, Mandaue, Minglanilla, Naga, San Fernando, and Talisay. Now, over in Mindanao, particularly in Metro Davao, you have Panabo, Tagum, Carmen, Davao City, and Digos. Now, dito, though, still dropping by a whopping 6.6% in today's trade. Despite those developments, the stock is now priced at 15 pesos a share. Now, here are other stories from the corporate front. Budget carrier Cebu Pacific is permanently removing its change fees, allowing passengers to rebook as many times as they need at no cost. The airline said this is to allow their passengers increased flexibility in traveling as the industry tries to recover from the impact of the pandemic. This comes amid proposals to further ease restrictions in the country. The Interagency Task Force has released simplified requirements for domestic travel with isolation protocol only reserved for those exhibiting symptoms. The Tourism Department is also supporting calls for a unified set of travel protocols with LGUs given the direction of whether or not to require negative swab test results among arriving travelers. Sorry, that's discretion. Giving discretion to LGUs there. Cebu Pacific shares are up 0.1% at 45 pesos and 25 centavos apiece. Now, MVP Group head Manny Pangilinan is looking at acquiring the stake of Shell Philippines Exploration in the Malampaya project. Pangilinan says the group recently submitted a non-binding offer to Shell, the MVP company seeking Shell's 45% stake in Malampaya, or First Pacific and Philex Mining. This development comes 6 months after Udena Corporation, headed by Davao businessman Dennis Uy, revealed plans to acquire 45% of Shell's stake in Malampaya. Udena already has a 45% share in the after its purchase of Chevron's stake in the gas field project in March of last year. State-run Philippine National Oil Company owns the remaining 10% share in Malampaya, reserves of which are expected to be completely depleted by 2027. Philex Mining shares advanced 1 6/10% on Tuesday's trade to 5 pesos and 18 centavos apiece. All right, the pandemic has boosted the use of digital payment platforms and e-commerce. Question is, has it done the same for INGP? To discuss that, we have Mohamed, Keraine, the head of retail of ING Philippines. We speak to him straight from Singapore. Good afternoon, Mohamed.
Good afternoon, Jes. Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, first, give us an idea. What was the level of growth that you saw in 2020 for ING? I mean, we do understand that you just launched ING Pay in the Philippines in 2020. What was the acceptance and reception like?
I think the growth has been consistent with our expectation. We have had about 1 million sign up in 2020, and a large portion of these people have already transferred into ING Pay customers since the end of last year. What you can see as well is that the usage has been lifting a lot, and this is for us the main figures that we are tracking in order to understand if we are delivering on our engagement promise with the customer to deliver instant, seamless, and personal customer experience. So just to give you another idea of this trend, since the beginning of the year, it's almost 1 million digital transactions that we have facilitated in the Philippines.
That you've had at your maiden year in the Philippines, where is it based from? Do you have any geographical areas here that were the primary base for ING Pay?
So what we see is that a large portion of the adoption is of course happening in Metro Manila, but all the customers in the Philippines can instantly open a payment account with ING and enjoy the services that we are offering, as of, for example, the virtual debit card that we are offering instantly, the plastic debit card, and of course our ING Save digital banking product that is offering a high interest rate in the market.
Were you able to maintain that level of acceptance even at the latter part of the year when a number of restrictions have already been eased in the country and a lot of businesses going back to their traditional means with brick and mortar stores? So were you able to sustain that level of acceptance there from customers?
I think for us, customer experience is key, and we're putting it at the front of everything we are doing. What we've seen is that the ability to deliver instant and seamless digital banking experience to our customers has helped us to grow actually, instead of seeing any break in this process.
Mm-hmm. And also that begs a question: why enter a market like the Philippines, where you already have a replete of competitions here, the likes of GCash and Paymaya?
I think for those who are not familiar with ING has been like a pioneer into digital banking. It launched the first digital bank in the world in 1997 in Canada, and since then has been rolled out in many countries, mainly in Europe and Australia. We have today about 39 million customers in the world that are enjoying this technology and security platform that we are now offering in the Philippines. If you look at growth market and new places where ING wants to experiment and pilot a little bit this full digital experience only on mobile, Philippines came as a natural point for us because ING has been there for more than 30 years already. We have a solid position in the market on our corporate banking side, and what you see is that the digital savvy middle class population is also growing really fast in this market, like in any Southeast Asian market. So therefore, Philippines came as a natural market for us. As of competition, I think you were mentioning Paymaya and Gcash. I think I see us as more complementary to this type of players that are helping also the wave of digitalization of financial services in the Philippines. What you see is that ING offers slightly more services than those players because we are a real bank regulated by the BSP, as I was saying, but also regulated by our banks in our European Central Bank, where the head office of ING is. Therefore, like ING as a real bank can offer services as e-check deposits. We are also offering a plastic card for free. Those type of services that can only be offered by a bank are a little bit the difference between ING and the wallet solution that are already there in the market for many years and that have been quite successful, I must say.
But what would you say about the level of confidence of Filipinos when it comes to digital banking, and how does it fare compared to the rest of the region?
To be honest, I think like the adoption will be progressive, right? You need to educate the market. You need to also give to the people the right tools, the right services, the right information about digital banking services. But for me, what comes at the center is the customer experience. As long as you remain customer-centric, the adoption will be following the services and the features that you are offering. You know, beyond being a digital bank, I prefer to be identified as a customer-centric bank, offering services that people can manage directly in their mobile phone. Is really what we are after, more than being branded or identified as a digital bank.
All right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Again, some level of optimism there for INGP, ING Philippines Head of Retail, Mohamed Keraine. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thank you.
And those are the biggest news this trading day, March 2, 2021. Catch Business World live again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. for the market open and 3:15 p.m. for the market close. I'm Jes Delos Santos. We are One News.